Hi, my name is Ross Riddleston. Welcome to this Anson McCade Future series of webinars and podcasts. Today, with the help of some industry experts, we're going to be shining some light on the future of technology and business, with particular focus on diversity, skills, and working practices.
Thanks, Ross. Hi, this is Ravi Ragani from Anson McCade, Regional Director of Australia. We're here with Jimmy Lenon from Deloitte, who'll be talking to us about Catalyst and RPA and AI in general. So thanks for agreeing to participate in our series of webinars, Jimmy. Over to you.
Yeah, hi Ravi. Thanks for inviting me on. I sit as part of a group called Catalyst within Deloitte, and we're really looking at how we can bring in robotic process automation, cognitive technology, Internet of Things and blockchain, and really transform how Deloitte works as an organisation. And our job is really to both support market-facing activities and also to provide internal transformation capability.
Thanks for that, Jimmy. So what are the biggest challenges of implementing the technologies around Catalyst, particularly RPA commercially?
Yeah, so I mean, one of the big challenges we face is really scaling out from a proof of concept to production. You know, it's very easy to take a lot of these technologies that are out there in the marketplace, put together a cool proof of concept, but then how do we scale that out to have impact across the business, you know? And one of the big problems we're certainly facing around AI and machine learning technologies is getting sufficient training data and also good quality training data so that we can build up robust models to work with, and also ensuring that this training data reflects the production data. And then it's really taking any of these processes, be it AI, cognitive, machine learning, or robotic process automation, and integrating that into the larger workflow of the business. What we tend to find is that for a proof of concept, these things are standing very well, you know, standalone. But as we scale it up, we need to make sure that the business is using it, it's easy for the business to use, and it's accessible to them regardless of where they are. Some of the challenges we're finding with robotic process automation is how do we actually measure the return on investment? You know, we're implementing these technologies to save the firm money, but how can we accurately measure that? And one of the things we've been doing is to measure how long an automation should take and how much money it should save the business. And then we can go back to the business and say, you know, this automation's saving you this much money. Where are we getting the return on investment? Or you're not using this automation enough, why not? And find out where it's falling down. The other big problem with robotic process automation is also making sure that we accurately capture the initial process and find out that it is automatable. A lot of parts of the business may be coming to us saying, yep, we want to use RPA, but when we sit down and really investigate their particular use case, there's still a lot of human judgment being made in there, and it's not completely automatable.
And I know this is a fairly subjective kind of topic, but how would you define the differences between kind of AI, machine learning, cognitive computing, and RPA? I suppose RPA kind of falls within AI, but how would you define, I guess, the three segments of AI and cognitive computing, machine learning?
Yeah, Ravi, that's a really good question. And, you know, we actually get asked that a lot because it can be very confusing, especially to people that are new to the field. And one of our roles within Catalyst is just to educate the broader business within Deloitte around a lot of these technologies. The way I think of it is AI is very much your broad umbrella term. It's encompassing all areas of the technology, you know, what's happened in the past, what's currently happening. One of the big growth areas within AI and where we're seeing a lot, you know, industry-wide, they're seeing a lot of progress is machine learning, or what's known as deep learning, which was very much popularized by Geoffrey Hinton and Google. And this subset of artificial intelligence really enables researchers to construct algorithms that can learn from and make predictions based on data. So rather than following a specific set of rules or instruction, an algorithm is trained to spot patterns in large amounts of data. And going back to my earlier answers, for machine learning to really have value for an organization, you need to be able to train it up on a good subset of data and make sure that that data accurately reflects production style data. We're seeing, machine learning is really driving a lot of the advances in speech processing or speech recognition and image recognition. The other big term that you hear a lot is cognitive computing, and this is a particular term that I really like. This is where the computer is providing assistance. So it's not actually making the decision, but it's providing a lot of guidance to humans that are having to make this decision. And it's designed to solve problems the way that humans solve problems, by thinking, reasoning, and remembering.
What technologies do you feel are most prominent within the AI space at the minute?
Yeah, good question, Ravi. Really, the big go-to technology that we're seeing within the AI space right now is deep learning or machine learning. That's really been popularized by Google, and especially with the growth of GPU-assisted hardware, we're really seeing this take off. A lot of problems that previously had 80% accuracy with the use of machine learning, we've now gone to 99.95. Stuff around speech recognition, image recognition, natural language recognition. And if I can talk about some of the technologies that we're really now starting to leverage within Deloitte, the first one on slide 3 is robotic process automation. What we're seeing with robotic process automation is that this is really a low cost and flexible way of automating a lot of processes that are occurring within the business. It's a very cost-effective alternative to complex system integration and replacement. And the robot acts as a virtual workforce or complete tasks faster, more accurately, and with enhanced compliance. So that is driving a lot of our work currently within the business. The next technology we're looking at, which is on slide 4, is around document recognition. A business like Deloitte has to process a lot of contracts. We're currently using a technology called Kira, which does machine learning and automatic contract analysis. We're finding that this is saving us a lot of money and really freeing up practitioners for a lot more high value tasks. Next technology, which is on slide 5, is chatbots and virtual agents. We've really started a big push across the business to start rolling out chatbots and virtual agents to assist staff members, especially, say, within audit. You've got a lot of more junior staff members sitting out there on client sites. They may not have someone to turn to ask complex questions. They can now start interacting with a chatbot. An organisation like Deloitte always has a problem with lots of different sources of knowledge and where to go to find that source of truth. A chatbot can be very useful at guiding staff members into finding where they can go for that information. And the chatbots are a very cost-effective way of allowing users to interact with automated systems. And finally, the last technology that we're finding a lot of excitement around is natural language generation. And with natural language generation, we can really take structured data and turn that into human readable reports. And natural language generation is able to summarize large amounts of data and explain really why numbers are what they are. Look at the underlying trends. Previously, analysts would have summarized all of this data. And what we're finding is that with natural language generation, we can cut down on the amount of time to write a report, and we can get a lot more consistency across the output of that report.
Excellent. Thanks, Jimmy. And what advice would you give to someone beginning their career within either the AI space or IPA space, or someone looking to pivot their career into these areas?
Yeah, the first thing, and I cannot speak highly enough of this, is to look at the fast.ai website, a course put together by Jeremy Howard. He's one of the kind of pioneers in this whole data analytics, machine learning space, and they've done an absolutely fantastic course. They've now released kind of the second part of it, and that's really good at taking anyone that's a novice to the sort of space and bringing them up to what the cutting edge of the technology is. So anyone that's interested in this sort of space, is well worth making that investment of time to do that course. The other thing that I'd really stress is a lot of the traditional background for a lot of AIs being to do, to do a lot of maths and really start looking at this sort of stuff at the doctoral level, especially if you're doing something like this fast.ai course. It's really getting your hands dirty straight away, and I can't stress that enough. Don't get intimidated by the field, jump in and start playing around with it. And also, if you're interested in RPA software, just start looking at some of the different software out there like Blue Prism, Automation Anywhere, UiPath. You can, a lot of this, download free trials, start playing around with it, understanding what it does, what are the pros and cons of the different solutions. And certainly when we're hiring people in the RPA space, we're just interested in people, well, who's played around with it? It's a new field, so it's not like we can go out there and ask people for 5 years plus experience, but we're certainly looking for people that have done some research in their own time, have a bit of a point of view on the different sorts of tools.
Right, excellent. And going into kind of a more general area, and obviously it's very topical at the minute with regards to automation. What do you think will be the impact of AI and automation, as it's on the workforce as it kind of grows and grows?
Well, our position very much within Deloitte, and it's my own personal position as well, is that this is actually going to be beneficial. I mean, a lot of what we're seeing now around automation is what you'd call white collar automation, which has traditionally been, immune from the sorts of automation that's occurred within other industries. However, the sort of automation that we're looking at doing is really taking a lot of low-level drudgery, data entry type tasks away and allowing people to focus on more meaningful parts of their job. They're able to start, making more decisions and so forth, rather than just sitting there having to do data entry, data cleansing, reconciliation style work. And I really see a lot of that sort of work's going to get automated because computers can do it faster, they can do it cheaper, and they can do it with less errors.
Right, excellent. And you mentioned this is kind of more white collar automation that Deloitte are focused on. Obviously, there's been kind of social and economic challenges with more so to do with the blue collar kind of automation. I mean, I know it's difficult to answer, but what do you think what kind of solutions do you think that we can have in place to resolve some of these challenges?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and you do hear a lot of people talk about automation replacing so much work that we need to look for something like universal basic income. My personal opinion is that we as a human race are so dynamic. Things are going to change. There's always going to be new types of jobs popping up, new job opportunities. The reality is that people are going to have to reskill themselves multiple times during their career. The days of having a job for life are certainly gone. I was reading an interesting report the other day that talked about any skills that you learned will really only be valid for 5 years. So, as people out there in the workforce, you've got to be constantly aware that you need to be re-educating, retraining, learning new skills, and be aware that what you're doing today will not be what you're doing in a year or 5 years.
Thank you.
Yep.
And where would you like to see future investment in AI to be targeted?
Well, yeah, and that's a really good question. And I mean, the AI space has certainly exploded. If I look back a couple of years ago, you really didn't hear that much about AI at all. And especially since the success that Google's had with deep learning and machine learning, it's just genuinely exploded. And that's why we're starting to see AI take off, because there's been some really solid solutions through deep learning. What we're seeing right now with automated cars and automated driving, that just would not have been possible a few years ago. Though it was interesting, Geoffrey Hinton, who's the father of the current deep learning, has said that we really need to start looking into other sorts of technologies. We're probably going to reach the end of what we can do right now with machine learning. It's not a path through to true artificial intelligence. And it may be that we never, as a human race, get to what we call true artificial intelligence. But I think we certainly need to start looking, well, what's the next breakthrough going to come from? Because I think machine learning, while it's been very useful, is perhaps a little bit of a dead-end technology. You know, it's not how the brain works. We as humans don't need a heap of labeled trained data to build our models from. We can really learn a lot from unstructured data and continuously learn and improve. And we're just not seeing that right now within the AI space. So I could say, if I could sum it up in a nutshell, it's really about unsupervised learning, you know, being able to correct your mistakes and be able to learn without needing a lot of trained or a lot of labeled data.
And what industry sectors do you think will benefit most from AI and automation?
Well, I actually believe that it'll be industries like professional services that I work in. We're really going to be taking away a lot of the low-level drudgery, compliance, reconciliation tasks that staff members have to do, and really allow them to focus on using their cognitive skills and their interpersonal skills. And I think that's one area that people can really separate themselves from computers. And so I think what we're going to see is we're going to see a real drive towards people having to use these sorts of interpersonal skills. And that's something that I just don't think in the short or the medium term that computers are going to be able to replace. And, you know, it's my personal view that as people start to need to use interpersonal skills more, critical thinking and their analytical skills, they're going to really enjoy their jobs more, and it's actually going to give them more meaning while they're at work.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, those are all my questions, Jimmy. Really appreciate your time and for sharing your thoughts on this very topical and interesting subject.
No, it's a real pleasure to talk to you today, Ravi.
Thanks, Jimmy. Cheers.